Hello everyone, I am Meenakshi and I welcome you all to Tathastu. Today is 2nd of September and on this date in year 1946, first Interim Government of India was formed. So on 2nd of September 1946, Interim Government was formed, which was headed by our former Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So in this video, we will learn about what was the Interim Government and who were the members of this Interim Government. But before that, these are the courses which are offered by Tathastu-ICS for all of you. You can get yourself enrolled in MSLV, which is specifically for your mains examination. Then you can register yourself for NCERT module. Then this is PSLV, which will be coming super soon. It is related to, specifically it will target the prelims examination. And then there is philosophy optional by Tanu ma'am, and if your optional is philosophy, you can get yourself enrolled. And for more details, you can also visit the website of Tathastu-ICS. Now let's begin with the lecture. As I said, the context is on this date, on 2nd of September, and the year was 1946, the Interim Government of India was formed, which was led by our former Prime Minister, our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. And this is an extreme statement which may be given to you in your UPSC examination, specifically your prelims examination. So please pay attention to this, that it was the only such cabinet. Now, in the history of this whole Indian freedom struggle, it was the only such cabinet in which the arch rivals, the Congress and the Muslim League, they shared power at the center, at the central level. So if a question ever comes on this interim government, that was it the only cabinet where these two arch rivals shared power at the central level? So yes, it was the only such cabinet where the power by these two rivals was shared at the central level. Now this interim administration had an enormous amount of autonomy, but on some matters, the viceroy, at that time the viceroy was Lord Wavell, he overruled the decisions of the members of the interim government. For example, we can take that he overruled this decision of releasing of the INA prisoners in his last meeting. And this interim government, it held on to power until the end of British control, until India gained independence, and it was divided into two parts. With independence came partition, we all know that. So this interim government, it held on to power until the freedom, until the British control, and when the dominions of India and Pakistan took over. So this is a brief overview of the interim government. Now how did this government came into existence? So in number of attempts. Okay, so yesterday we have discussed about World War II, that World War II started from 1939, and here we will be talking about the year 1942. So by this time, actually the Britishers had realized that they had to leave our country. They will no more be able to rule the people of India. So a number of attempts were made by these colonial officials at this time to establish interim administration, to give some power, or to share some power with the Indians, specifically at the central level. And they began this with Cripps mission in 1942. So there was this mission known as Cripps mission, headed by Sir Stafford Cripps, which was sent to India in 1942, and it promised to give India a dominion status. But this mission was rejected. The reason, because specifically it mentioned this dominion status. Now first of all, before moving on to this, why was Cripps mission sent to India? Because at that time, as I said, this context is relevant, that at this time the Britishers wanted the Indian support in World War II, and the Britishers had this, British was on the Allies side, so British had this pressure from the Allies to get India into the war, as there was a threat in from the Axis power, specifically from Japan, to invade India. So the Indian support at this point was needed, and they Britishers then tried to offer some concessions to Indians, and this is the reason why they sent the Cripps mission in 1942. But this Cripps mission was rejected because it said, it promised to give this dominion status. Now after 1929, this Purna Swaraj resolution was passed in 1929 it is, and where the complete independence, that we don't want this dominion status, we want complete independence, we want to be sovereign nation, we want complete independence from the Britishers rule. So this is the reason why, majorly, this is a major reason why this dominion status was rejected, why Cripps mission was rejected. So here we can see that British was trying to offer us some level of concession, some share of power since 1942. Now in 1946, so by this time, there were elections to the Constituent Assembly were held following the proposals of British Cabinet Mission. Now, between these years, there were many missions which were rejected, but during this time, now British wanted to leave India. We have seen that they were just done that we have ruled enough, and they wanted to leave India. But at this time, they have realized that it would be a blot on their diplomacy, blot on their image if the country was divided into two parts. And also, when the country was will be divided into two parts, then there will be a weak defense because the powers will be divided. So Britishers here in 1946, the thing which they have been doing since many years, the seeds of communalism which they were sowing to divide India, to this divide and rule policy, here they wanted the reversal of it. They wanted a united India. They wanted to leave India, but they didn't want to partition it. Reason being that it will be a blot on their diplomacy, that they ruled a country for so many years, so more than 200 years, and then they left it at such a condition where there were riots all around, and the country was divided on the basis of communalism. So at this point, the Britishers wanted a divided India. That is why this cabinet mission was sent. And this cabinet mission, actually, first, the most important proposal from this cabinet mission was this interim government. And as I've said, that between Cripps mission and between this cabinet mission, lots of plans came, but they were rejected. But this cabinet mission was approved by and accepted by Congress as well as Muslim League. So this is important to understand, that this mission, this cabinet mission, was approved by both the Congress and the Muslim League. But the twist is that when it was accepted, there was a provision in this cabinet mission that the provinces will be grouped. Now the provinces will be something like this, that there will be Hindu majority provinces, then there will be Muslim majority provinces, and then there will be section C where there will be Bengal and Assam. One was a Muslim majority area, and the other one was the Hindu majority area. So the Congress, specifically our first Prime Minister, who was the head of the interim government, he said that we were not bound by anything except that one thing, that we are going together into this Constituent Assembly, but we don't want this division. He straight away rejected this division of the provinces or the state. And after this, the Muslim League, who initially accepted the idea, they withdraw their support from this cabinet mission, that we won't be joining this cabinet mission, we won't be part of this interim government. So at this point, as I said, the Britishers, they just wanted to give power to Indians and remove this tag of that they divided the country. They were adamant that at least one party should come, and they were also thinking that what if Congress started another movement. So at this point, they decided to sworn in this interim government, which was headed by Jawaharlal Nehru. So this was the backdrop how this interim government was formed. And there were elections also this time. Congress obtained majority in the assembly, and particularly the Hindu majority areas, and the Muslim League consolidated its support among the Muslim electorate, or those that were the Muslim majority areas. Now coming to, at this point, as I said, the British government decided that at least if Congress is supporting it, let's form the interim government with them. So the Indian delegates were then invited to join interim government by the Viceroy, and the Viceroy was Lord Wavell. So these are the very basic important information which is specifically important for your prelims examination. So at this point the viceroy was Lord Wavell, and the government, okay, so this interim government, it had to function according Government of India Act of 1919, because after that there was an act which came known as Government of India Act of 1935, from which the basic thing of our constitutions are derived. But this it envisioned a federal plan, but this never came into existence. Reason being, it was opposed by the princely state. The princely state opposed this scheme, this Government of India scheme of 1935, and this is the reason why the interim government functioned on the Government of India Act of 1919. So this is important to remember, that it worked, it functioned according to Government of India Act of 1919. Who? In the interim government. So this is about the interim cabinet now. So government was established on September 2, the date is today, and the year was 1946, by the Congress party. We have seen Muslim League withdrawn its approval which the Muslim League gave to the interim cabinet, and the resolution of this Congress working committee was approved on September 23 by the All India Congress Committee. So at this point the Congress formed the interim government. As a result of Muslim League original decision to abstain from this politics, from this interim government, they decided to withdraw their support to this cabinet mission. There were 5 ministries in this interim government. The 5 ministries were designated for the Muslim. Now the Muslim League was not there in the government, so what they did, the non-League Muslim Asaf Ali, Sir Shafat Ahmad Khan and Sayyid Ali Zahir were given their positions, and 2 positions remained vacant. Asaf Ali, Aruna Asaf Ali was his wife, who was a major force in this Quit India movement. Now moving towards here, the Muslim League eventually joined Lord Wavell promise. So what Lord Wavell did here, he very quietly he brought this Muslim League into the interim government without any demand, because when the Muslim League rejected this cabinet mission, they withdrew their support. They announced this direct action day, in which there were lot of riots, lot of communalism, lot of people died. So without giving up that direct action day or their demand for these separate provinces, this grouping for provinces, Lord Wavell, what he did, he bring the Muslim League into the interim government, saying that, and he promised them that all the 5 reserved ministries which were reserved for the Muslims will be given to them if they cooperated with this interim government. So Sarat Chandra Bose, Sir Shafat Ahmad Khan and Sayyid Ali Zahir, who were allotted some ministry before that, they were dropped from the previous team and in October, to make room for this new Muslim League members. Now John Matthias, Homi Baba and Baldev Singh, they continue to speak about this and hold this position for the tribal minorities. Now these were the ministers who represented the Congress. Let's see who were they. The Vice President of Executive Council, External Affairs and Commonwealth Relation Ministry, this portfolio was with Jawaharlal Nehru. Home Affairs, Information and Broadcasting was with Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Agriculture and Food by Rajendra Prasad. Education and Arts by C. Rajagopalachari. Defense, Baldev Singh. Industries and Supplies, C. Rajagopalachari. He also had this Education and Arts. Labor, Jagjeevan Ram. Railways and Communication, Asaf Ali. And Work, Mines and Power, C.H. Baba. So this was these were the portfolios which were held by the Congress party ministers, and these were the 5 seats which were reserved for the Muslims, which were earlier given to the Congress Muslim members only, but after the coming of League they were given to the members of this Muslim League members. So Commerce was seen by Ibrahim Ismail Chundrigar, Finance by Liaquat Ali Khan, Health by Ghaznafar Ali Khan, Law by Jogendra Nath Mandal, and Post and Air by Abdur Rab Nishtar. So these were the 5 portfolios which were held by the Muslim League members. Now coming to what were the decisions by this cabinet. So these are few decisions which were taken by the interim government. So let's see. On September 1946, the former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, he declared government planned to engage in direct diplomatic relations. So this was an important decision which was taken by the interim government to engage in direct diplomatic relation with all countries. And in November 1946, India ratified this convention on international civil aviation. So these are some of the few important decisions, although there were a lot of decisions which were taken by the interim government, but these are some of the important decisions which I've mentioned. And the year 1947 saw the opening of diplomatic channels, especially between India and many countries, and specifically with the US. The US decided in April 1947 to send its ambassador to India. So these were some of the important decisions. And after partition was announced on June 3. So this is the date when partition was announced. A dedicated cabinet subcommittee was formed to deal with the situation on June 5, because we know that there was lot of violence during this partition, and it is considered one of the greatest communal holocaust actually. And this committee which was formed, it consisted of Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Liaquat Ali Khan, Abdur Rab Nishtar and Baldev Singh. So this was formed to control the situation which was created after this announcement of the partition. I hope you found the session very interesting. If you found, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.